Hello my friends! I want to share with you a story of how I saved one of my boudoir clients over $10,000 in taxes without her really doing anything. If you're new here, my name is Travis Reynolds. I'm a CPA and I help photography studio owners run more profitable studios. So please consider liking and subscribing. So this actually happened about 5 years ago during the COVID days. She was running a boudoir studio and she reached out to me for a free consultation. We get on the call like we normally do. She was obviously very successful. She knew she was successful. I asked all the generic questions and it turns out that she did not know how profitable she was. She told me her books were a mess and it was keeping her up at night. And this is a story I hear with a lot of people, and that they come to me because they need help with their finances, but they're embarrassed. And I say, there is nothing to be embarrassed about. Everything can be fixed. So what I ended up doing for this person is she did want my help. Basically, I set her up on a QuickBooks account. We connected all of her bank and credit cards, and I got her all caught up on her bookkeeping. I was able to download all the bank and credit card transactions, reconcile all the accounts so we know exactly where the money was going. I was able to provide her a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, and all of this helped with her anxiety, her guilt, and her fear of a large tax bill. And it's something I stress all the time to my clients. It's very important to know how profitable your business is, because that is what we use to make the decisions for our business. If you are making decisions without knowing the full numbers, you're probably not making great decisions. But once we got her all caught up, she was actually making about $150,000 in profit, and this is something that she had no idea. All she basically do is just look at her bank account every month and just make sure everything was good. And then this is where the tax savings came in. Basically, after talking to her some more, we learned that she was an LLC and it was time that we transitioned her to an S corporation. And that is because when she is an LLC, she basically has to pay the self-employment tax. And if you are not familiar, the self-employment tax, it is a flat 15.3% on 100% of your profits. So basically, you're paying that 15.3% on $150,000. Now, that 15.3% is actually not the flat rate. There's actually a lot of variables that go into it, but 15.3% is the general rule. So basically what I advise we do is we transition her business to an S corporation, and that is because an S corporation is a great tax savings opportunity for photography studios that probably make at least $100,000 in profit. And that is because one of the requirements of being an S corporation is that you actually have to pay yourself what is known as a reasonable compensation. Basically, this allows you to get on payroll, issue yourself a W-2 at the end of the year, and then basically you are only paying that self-employment tax on what you pay yourself. The reason the self-employment tax is a flat 15.3% is because it is equivalent to the Social Security and Medicare taxes that you would be paying as a W-2 employee. So as a self-employed individual, you get the liberty to pay both the employee and the employer portion of those payroll taxes. So again, when you're on an S corporation, you get to get on payroll and you only have to pay those payroll taxes on what you pay yourself. So we set her up with a salary of $80,000 out of that $150,000 profit. That means there was $70,000 that were not subject to the self-employment tax. And 15.3% on that $70,000 is about $10,710. So just by structuring things correctly, she is getting those tax savings over a year. You know, that's basically $50,000 in tax savings over 5 years just by making this S Corp election. And this is something I see constantly with photographers. If you start to make successful money, such as $100,000 in profit, it is probably time for you to start becoming an S corporation. And one thing I cannot stress enough is don't make the S corporation when your business is not ready, because you won't be getting any of the tax savings and you actually will be spending more money out of pocket. So what I mean by this is if your business is probably making $50,000, you probably still need to pay yourself a reasonable compensation. So if you're making $50,000, probably all of your profit is gonna go to pay yourself, which again is that $50,000. Then you're still paying that 15.3% on all of your profit, and you won't really be getting any savings. The key here is to make sure that there is enough profit left over after you pay yourself, as that is where the tax savings come in. And I typically don't recommend this around $90,000 or $80,000 or $70,000, because even if you pay yourself less and there's still some left over, you do have added overhead costs that come with the S corporation election. You typically got to pay for a payroll provider, and then you also have to do a better job of keeping track of your income expenses, and you probably have to use accounting software. And it's very important to use accounting software because when you file an S corporation tax return, you typically will have to report the balance sheet. And if you are using a spreadsheet, spreadsheets won't have a balance sheet, where accounting software can do that for you automatically in the background. So that's why it's very important to use accounting software. But yeah, that's basically how I saved my client over $10,000 in taxes every year. I'm still helping her out. I'm still doing the books. Now she has a peace of mind. She is saving money. She knows exactly how profitable her business is, and she can make the correct decisions to help her business continue to grow. If any of this sounds like you, please consider reaching out to an accountant, get your books in order, look at your profit, maybe make that S Corp election, then you will be set up for success. So if you have any further questions, please drop them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them, and I'll see you in the next video.